Your phone is a weapon. It can either be used for you or it can be used against you, depending on whether or not you understand how it works and what is going on with it. Most people spend about 2 hours a day on social media. That adds up to about 600 hours a year or more. Just imagine what you could do with an extra 600 hours per year. In this video, you're about to discover how to de-weaponize your phone so that it's not so addictive and time-wasting. You're about to discover the inside secrets that these tech companies don't want you to know about how they get you addicted and what you can do to pull out of that. And you're going to learn some very practical ways to turn your phone into something that's useful for you rather than being used against you. And quite honestly, even if you have no intention of changing your phone in any way, but you're just curious about how these things work, then stay tuned because you're going to learn a lot of fascinating information in this video. We are spiritual beings. We come from our eternal home. Into this world to enjoy, express, and experience life. You might be wondering why, as spiritual coaches and authors that we are, do we even bother talking about cell phones and all these sort of things? The reason is that unless we get a handle on technology, which is dominating our lives, it will end up sucking so much of our time and energy that we won't be able to do the things that we want to do. Technology was originally designed to make our lives better, but as more and more companies got on board, they realized the huge profit potential there is to keep people on their phones and get them more addicted. I used to spend hours and hours and hours on this thing when I got a cell phone. And I would try and do some work. I'd be sitting there, trying to write a book or do a course or do something useful with my time. And then this thing would bing away and it would buzz and I'd be like, who sent me this message? What has someone got to say about that post I put on Facebook? Or what's going on with this thing? Or what about this? What about this? So my mind was partly here but mostly there. So I would try and do stuff and find myself again and again and again being pulled back onto this. And what I realized is something is not right about this. It can't just be my bad willpower. It must be something else. And as I looked deeper into it, I realized that these tech companies are purposely designing technology to be addictive. In this book called Hooked, the author explains explicitly how to get people addicted to technology, specifically apps. And there's 4 stages: trigger, action, variable reward, and investment. You get triggered by a notification, wonder what it is. Then there's the action, click the button, press it to find out what's going on. Then there's the variable reward. Is it a text message? Is it a good message, bad message? Is it a fun video? What is it? And then the investment. Once you've invested time and energy into these things, then you have more interest in it. So if you post stuff on Facebook, post stuff on Instagram, you've invested something in the service, so you're more likely to come back. And then you get another notification, and then it just goes round and round and round. And before we know it, we've become addicted to our phones. So we might want to do something more productive than check Instagram and Facebook all day long. But this thing has got us trapped. It has genuinely been weaponized against us.
Now, we're all about extending the physical world online.
It's not random, it's extremely well engineered. These people, quite frankly, are what might be called evil geniuses.
$1 million.
They have cracked the code on how to affect our behavior and create habits within us.
Is that there's 1,000 engineers on the other side of the screen whose job it was to get my finger to do that the next time. And there's this whole playbook of techniques that they use to get us to keep using the software more.
Now, we all know where we want this to get eventually, right? We want glasses or eventually contact lenses that look and feel normal, but that let us overlay all kinds of information and digital objects on top of the real world.
When I realized that I was being trapped in these products, I decided to do something about it. I learned how it worked, and then I decided to clean up my phone, get rid of the temptations so that I don't end up wasting my time. Because willpower, unfortunately, is not going to do the job. So how can you design your phone so that instead of distracting you, it actually helps you? One of the most important things we need to do is understand human psychology. As human beings, we're designed to want to go for the easy path. Whatever's easiest, we're more likely to do it. If we can get the cookies really easily, we're going to get them. If we want to eat healthy food, we need to put it out somewhere we can see it. Willpower simply won't work. Basically, the more we have access to something that we like, the more we're going to have it. If we move it out of the way, then we're not going to have it. So let's say, for example, you want to cut down on chocolate and start eating more fruit. What would we have to do?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure why you would want to stop having chocolate, but if you did, you would probably need to stop going into this chocolate drawer because there's a lot of different chocolate here. And if you wanted to start eating more apples, say, then you would need to make sure the apples are not all the way in this bottom drawer in the fridge. And you want to just, put them in a nice bowl and have it visible, have it around the house, somewhere where you're going to regularly see it.
So in this case, what we need to do is get rid of all the distractions off of our phone so that we don't use them. You might be wondering, is this going to work for me if I don't have an iPhone or the same operating system? Well, realistically, these principles can work for almost anyone on any phone. You just might need to do a little bit of research. Step 1 is to delete all distracting apps. And remember, you can always reinstall them afterwards if you really want to, at least give it a chance. So let's show you how to do this. You just click on any one of these icons, hold it, click and hold, and they all start to wiggle away with those little X's. So I recommend you go through and you definitely get rid of things like Facebook, Instagram, and just go through this and think if there's anything on here that you're not actually going to use, then delete it. The less apps you have, the better. So go ahead and just delete. This is like digital minimalism. Just cut it back and make it nice and easy. Out of sight, out of mind. Congratulations. Step number 2 is to organize the remaining apps into categories so that you have less stuff on your screen. So for example, I have lots of film stuff here, so I could put this and just drag it inside there. That's all film, photography related. You could just put the stuff that you don't use very much, just put it all in one place so that you end up with a very minimalist looking screen. You don't need to see all this stuff really. So you can go ahead and organize that however you want. The aim here is to have the least amount of apps and only the ones you need, and organize them so that your screen looks more minimal. Having tons of stuff is like a house full of clutter. Now, step number 3 is to turn off all notifications, because notifications are how people get you addicted. They're designed to distract you, to take you away from what you're doing, and to get you back on this phone. The more you do it, the more a habit is formed, and the more a habit is formed, the more you do it. And so that it ends up spending hours and hours and hours and hours. This is designed to keep you addicted. So getting rid of notifications is claiming back your freedom. So to get rid of notifications, you go to Settings, go to Notifications, and I recommend literally turning off all notifications. So you just go through them one at a time and just turn them all off, unless you need them, but ideally just turn all of them off completely. So you go through one at a time and just turn them all off. So take care of all your notifications. some advanced tips. These are very advanced tips. The first one is to turn off the color. If you want to use your phone a lot less, make it less attractive. If you want to do that, you go to General, Accessibility, Display Accommodations, Color Filters, and Grayscale. See this thing here? Grayscale. It literally turns your phone black and white. And if it's black and white, frankly, it's a bit more boring, so you're less likely to use it. Alright, here's how you set up restrictions so you can't actually use your phone except the way you want to use it. This has been updated recently and actually it's pretty good. So I'll show you how to use it. We go to Settings, Screen Time, Turn on Screen Time, and you have to put in a password if you haven't got one already, so you have to add your password. Now if you have access to your password, then you can just go ahead and change it and get rid of all these features. So the best thing to do is to create a top secret passcode. Write it down, then you get your secret passcode, put it in a plastic bag like this, seal it up, and then you take it away somewhere. You hide it away. You either hide it away or you give it to a friend who can take it from you, and you make sure you can't get it, because once you can't get it, then you can't use your phone, can't change your phone, and those actual restrictions, and then those restrictions actually will be useful. So I go ahead and add password, and then you have different options. You have downtime, you can turn that on, and you can decide when you want your phone not to work. So when's it going to be available, when's it not going to be available? You can set it up so then it's not you can't use it. Then you can have app limits. So if you want to spend 5 minutes a day on social media instead of 5 hours, then you can set it up. Add a limit. You can decide social networking sites, you're allowed 5 minutes a day, and at the end of the day it gets blocked. Press add. You can also choose which apps are always allowed, the things that are actually useful. I recommend deleting messages, and add whatever you actually use. So for me, I'd probably add Filmic Pro, filming stuff, guitar tuner, stuff that's not distracting evil apps. And then you have them available, the other ones are not available. And then if you click on content and privacy restrictions, you can set up, various other things and go into a lot more detail. So there's a lot of detail, you can fiddle around with it, see how it works for yourself. Just be ruthless, be really ruthless, because after all, this is your life we're talking about, and this thing should not be the main focus of your life. You didn't come into this world to look at this thing all day long. That's not what we're here for. The final thing to do, which frankly I think is the best idea ever, is to deactivate your phone. Cut it off from your service provider. This phone was deactivated in 2016. This is an iPhone 6. I haven't updated it since, and I took my number off it. I haven't had a cell phone since 2016, and I still use it for filming, for flying the drone, for doing certain photography related activities. I use it for tuning my guitar, and that's about it basically. And so it's very helpful, right? It's actually useful. I only use this for productivity. If this was turned on and was sending me text messages all the time and had social media on it, I would be on this thing all the time. Since I've deregistered it, it doesn't matter, right? So if you really want to go for it, that's the final step, is to deregister the whole thing so you can be free and you can only use it for productivity. If you don't want to go that far, then the other steps will be very, very helpful. Wonderful. So once you do this, you're going to feel so free. You're going to be liberated. Instead of sitting around clicking away, you're going to feel like you have your life back. You can focus on getting stuff done. You can enjoy yourself. I can't tell you what a difference it's made in my life to just pull the plug on the whole thing. And whatever degree you break free from that, you have all that time, energy for something more wonderful. So think about, what can you do instead? What are you going to replace the cell phone with? How can you enjoy yourself more, listen to music offline? Like I have a record player here. There's something really satisfying about lifting the needle and dropping it down, you know? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Claim back your life. Have the life that you love, not the life that tech companies want you to have. If you like this video, then make sure you subscribe, hit like, and we'll be talking to you very, very soon. Have a beautiful rest of your day, enjoy your freedom, and many, many blessings. So in case you're wondering, how do I manage without a phone? Well, I have a landline. Yes, they do exist. This is a landline. And so when I'm at home, then I take my calls on this phone. It's very, very handy, works great. And this is my deactivated phone that I've been talking about, where I only use this for filming stuff. And this one, this is Ariel's old phone. We use this when we're traveling, but we otherwise don't use it. So this almost like doesn't count as a phone. Yes, it's an iPhone. Yes, it can receive text messages. Yes, it could be a problem, but we turn it off and we don't use it unless we have to. So this basically doesn't really count as a phone. So what I recommend you do is you get rid of your iPhone, deactivate it, get a flip phone if you need to. A flip phone can be much better because it can't do all the annoying, app stuff on those old school phones. And then you can use your phone, which as basically an iPod or something, so you can listen to music on it and you can do other stuff, and it actually becomes useful, but it doesn't have the internet. As soon as you take the internet away from this thing, then it's no longer a problem. So that's how I manage it. If you do that, you will find yourself with so much more time, so much more joy, and everything's going to be so much better. So try it out, see what happens. Much love.